Brain aneurysm. Did I have a brain aneurysm? Health crisis. Hello, you all. I'm Diana Brienne. Well, this story goes back about 10 years ago, and it's a story that happened in my life. Long story short, we were living in a beautiful town, in a beautiful area down in Georgia. Now, we live a little further north now, but we're still in the south. And anyhow, what happened was my husband moved with his position, and then we were to follow in 1 year because we had two of our kids in school, and the other one was homeschooled, and it was just not an opportune time. Plus, we needed to remodel the house before we could either rent it or sell it. And so he moved up here. We had a big motorhome at the time, and he drove the motorhome up, and he stayed in the motorhome during that year, which is all self-contained, which was wonderful. So lo and behold, anyhow, about 2 days before he left to go, I came down for breakfast, and I went to get my coffee, and I said, "Hey, honey, I think I'm going to go back to bed. I've got a pain in the back of my back. I don't know what it's from, but I'm going to go back to bed." And just as I said that, I went down to the floor. I remember letting myself down to the floor. I remember being cold and clammy, and my husband coming over, and my kids were there. They were smaller at the time. And my husband said, "Diana, Diana," and he shook me, "Wake up, wake up." And I remember looking up at him, and my heart was thumping so hard and beating so hard. It was just awful. And he helped me up, and I kind of staggered, wobbled into what was the mother-in-law suite where my mother had lived before she had passed. Well, before she'd actually gone to the nursing home at the end. And that's a whole nother video. She had Parkinson's and ALS. And so I had taken care of my mom for for about 3 years, and then she, the ALS and Parkinson's had hit her body so much that she had to be 24-hour care in the nursing home. But I went there twice a day and made sure that she was well taken care of. But I've already done a video on that. And so this is a little bit about a year or two later after my mom passed, and I have my 3 little kids, one on which I'm homeschooling. My husband is in the process of moving to another state, and will only be home every couple weeks until we get moved. And so there I am laying on the floor, clammy. I go into the mother-in-law's suite. I lay down in the bed, and my leg was quivering, and my body was shaking. My heart was thumping. And I thought, when is this going to go away? Unfortunately, it didn't go away, at least not the heart thumping, and then other symptoms were to follow. Didn't go away for a total of up to a year. I was functional during that year, and so I just had no idea what was going on. But that day we had to drive the motorhome over to get the step fixed, and I was to follow my husband. Well, he was following me actually in the motorhome with the kids. And as I was driving over, my leg was so quivering, so bad, that I had to pull over almost to the motorhome place. But I could walk. Nothing seemed to be put together. I didn't understand it. So I parked, I had an Expedition. I parked the Expedition. I went and got into the motorhome. We went to the dealership. My husband told the dealer that the dealer needed to drive, asked the dealer to drive us back to the Expedition so that we could all drive home together. And because I just couldn't make it. So we got home. My husband said, "Maybe you need to go to the doctor's." And I said, "No, I'm not going." Long story short, I waited 2 weeks. I went to the doctor, a doctor that I'd had for 5 years, and he seemed to think it was menopause or just anxiety. And I said, "No, I've always handled anxiety well. I don't have anxiety, nothing out of the norm. Everything is going wonderful in our life, and I'm not that kind of person." And so he kind of attributed it to menopause, and my heart was thumping so bad. They did an EKG, and it showed normal. So he just sent me home with a nerve pill, and I'd never taken nerve pills, so I took one, and then I didn't take any more after that, and the same with the sleeping pill he gave me. So over the course of the next couple of months, I began to develop other symptoms, like my throat felt like it was closing all the time. It wasn't like a now and then thing, it just stayed consistent. And I had to carry around paper towels because all I was doing was spitting. And I mean, it was just crazy, absolutely crazy. So I went from doctor to doctor, and I begged this doctor to, let me see specialists, the cardiologist, an endocrinologist, a neurologist. Went to all of them, and they could not find anything. And so, I began to chalk it up to anxiety, maybe, I'm having a panic attack. I had no earthly idea. And things just got from worse to worse to worse because I became so weak. I was so weak. And the week of Thanksgiving, I was trying to put up the Christmas tree and put up the decorations. And I had to sit down for like 10 minutes after every decoration. I just was so weak. And so my husband had come back during Thanksgiving, and so he was there with the kids, and I was a functional mom. I never let my kids know I was sick. Somehow I was getting around, doing all the mom things, doing homeschool, everything. I was functional, but parts of my body would go numb. I was choking all the time. I would have to sit up and be propped up with a pillow. My heart felt like it was thumping out of me. I was dizzy, I was bumping into walls, just all kinds of things were going on, and no one seemed to be able to figure it out. So then, my mom came to me in a dream, and she said, my mom had already passed, and she said to me, you've got a lesion on the left side of your brain. And I was like on this gurney, and my head was shaved, part of my head was shaved, and they were taking me in for surgery, and she was all upset because the surgeon needed to get to me quicker. And so the next day, while my husband was there, it was in the middle of the night, I drove myself to the ER. He didn't even know I had left, but he was watching the kids, so all was good. And I went to the ER, pulled into the lot, debated whether I should go in because I figured they were probably not even going to they're just going to send me home again. So I went in there and I said, I think I'm having a stroke. My mom came to me in a dream and said, I have a lesion on the left side of the brain. So this young doctor number 17, I'd been through 16 doctors by then. He was doctor number 17. He sent me into a CAT scan. And the whole time I was in the CAT scan, through the little microphone, I was telling the lady what my mom had said. And the woman who was reading the CAT scan kept saying, what? Really? I didn't know what she was seeing on the screen. When I got back to the ER, the doctor said, you've got a lesion on the left side of your brain. So they put me in the hospital trying to determine what to do. They called it a brain aneurysm, but one of the doctors referred to it as a walking brain aneurysm, like a hidden brain aneurysm, because many brain aneurysms, you're not walking around. They're pretty severe. And here I was walking around with all these symptoms, but I was walking and functioning barely. So they determined that there was nothing that they could do. They didn't know when it had happened. And, I had run into a wooden hanger in the mother-in-law suite, right into my eye a few months, before all this happened. And they kind of attributed it somehow that running into the hanger caused all of this neurological problems with me. So was it a stroke? Was it an aneurysm? Was it related to the hanger? Or was it something else? I really don't know. They did say it was a brain aneurysm, but I don't know exactly if that's correct. And it may be, it may not be, but I do know that during that time, it was a very scary time, and I was so sick. And gradually, my symptoms began to go away, and my life began to get restored. And now I run 5 miles a day, and I'm a workout machine, and I do so much, and I feel very healthy. My blood pressure is perfect. Everything is great at 62 years old. But that was a very, very frightening time for me. I don't know whether I had a stroke. I don't know whether I had a brain aneurysm. I don't know whether it was something else. I don't know if it was related to the hanger knocking me to the ground. I mean, the hanger, I was moving very quickly through the mother-in-law's suite. It was darkened, and a wooden hanger was wedged and sticking out, and I ran into it directly into my eye open, knocked me to the ground. It was a very frightening moment, and I thought, I was going to have, a brain aneurysm then. And so they think it could have been related to that. But I'm very fortunate, very lucky to have survived. I did a lot of praying, and I had a lot of people praying for me. But I wanted to share my story with you. I don't know if it will ever help anyone or what, because it's still a little bit confusing what happened to me 10 years ago. I really don't know. I just know I'm well today, and I'm so grateful, but I have a great understanding of people who go through any kind of health crisis. I was always an understanding person, but until I went through my own journey, I never had the clarity that I do today of what people go through when they're facing a health crisis. So I wish you great health. God bless you. And subscribe to my channel, please. Love you all much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.